accomplishment from years ago. You really want to always train from your last 7 days. And so I was looking at, some of us have this vintage Mary Kay calendar, and I was looking at the quote from yesterday, and I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to finish with today's quote because it bookends perfectly what I want to share with you tonight. So yesterday's Mary Kay calendar quote was on self-confidence, and it says, being well prepared is a major contributor to self-confidence. Do your homework before you make a sales call. Decide exactly what you want to say before you deliver a speech. Develop your professional skills through education, training, and experience. All of these actions will increase your level of confidence. And so I want to tell you that if you were robbed of any confidence during the last few years, where we were behind screens instead of at kitchen tables, where we were in our homes more than out of our homes with others, the best way to build self-confidence is through action. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to act your way into confidence. And I don't mean it was acting, like faking it. I mean doing, action, acting, taking steps. So I want to talk to you tonight about the power of the party. You know, there's growth in the gathering, growth of confidence, growth of your client base, growth of your future business, because the sales will lead to reorders. The guests will lead to referrals, and the customers will lead to growth of your team through sharing appointments. Now, Tammy tells me that you have had some solid team building training recently. So I'm going to focus tonight on what I do to make parties successful. And so I'm going to train from my last 7 days. Last Monday night, I decided to try something that I had not tried before and that I have not even trained my unit on. And that is kind of a new thing in Mary Kay called a pop-up party. And I'll be honest, and Tammy will probably respect this, I'm a little bit of a skeptic, which really means that as a leader, I believe that you lead from the front and you don't teach your people to do something that you've not done before. And so I called one of my newer clients and I said, Jeannie, Mary Kay sometimes tries new things. And as a leader in the company, I have been tapped to try a new format party. And your home would be so perfect for this. We wouldn't sit around the kitchen table. We would sit around your beautiful living room, and I would share products, and we would try some on the back of the hand, but we wouldn't be putting product on the face. And we could have more people that way. And so I would so be honored if you would have a party for me and invite maybe 12 to 15 people. And she said yes. Now, I want to tell you that she is in my church small group. So she is what we call an A lead. If you've never heard the concept of A, B, and C leads, A leads are people in your warm circle, people you have relationship with. They could be a customer, someone from church, someone in your neighborhood, someone in your family, a friend. A leads. And so then we have B leads, and B leads are referrals, people you met through a booking. And then we have C leads, and C leads are warm chats, facial box leads, people you've never met in person before, A, B, and C. So I picked an A lead person, and I had just facialed Jeannie in the middle of February, and she spent $852 at her facial and was using and loving the products. And so I thought this would be a great person to try a new format party with. So she said yes. And so I won't go into detail on what I did because I think the details aren't important as what I'm going to share next. And that is, when you walk into a party confident that you are going to have great results, you will have great results. When you walk into a party nervous about the results, you might not get great results. Because what you think about, Mary Kay said, you bring about. Do you believe that? I do. And so I knew that I was a little bit nervous, not because I didn't know what I was talking about, but because I hadn't done this format before. And so broadly, just to tell you, I did satin hands when they all came in. Then the host gave them something to drink and they sat on the couch. I had a stack of beauty profiles and pens. They filled one of those out. I glanced at those to see the products that they had indicated based on their skin desires and needs would be great for them. And then I talked about skin cycling. Skin cycling is a new term. It's not a new thing for Mary Kay. Our products have been skin cycling people for years, but that is a hot new term. And I gave them all a beauty book, not a lookbook, because I didn't want them flipping through 50 pages while I was talking. And so I'd say, now turn to page 8. Now let's go to page 6. And I just kind of bounced around a little bit, but I kept it simple And I talked about the importance of a core skincare program, a daily regimen for long-term results. Did you hear that? A daily regimen for long-term results. That's what I want everyone to find first. And then I talked about supplements for success. And so I talked about boosters. I talked about our facial peel and our microdermabrasion. I talked about our biocellulose mask and our HA plus ceramide booster. And then I simply said, all right, ladies, I'd love to take any questions you have. They asked me a few, and I said, I'm going to step into the kitchen, and when you're ready, you can come meet with me individually. I'll answer any additional questions you may not want to ask in front of the group. And I do that at every party. And you guys, I sold over $1,300. Now, she invited 30. It was on a Monday night. It was spring break week here for the private schools. So she had 8 people there. One had to leave early. So, 8. One left early. So that left me with 7 people who were still there. I can do math, really. And I had 7 people order that night. And it was over 1,300 retail. Amen, amen to the thought earlier about the monthly specials and offering the half price items with a purchase of 50 or more. That program has transformed my retail. So I'm telling you about that party because I want to now get into things that really lock up your success. Number 1, pre-profiling. You've heard this for years, I'm sure. But I'm a big psychology person. I think women do what women understand. Would you agree with that? Women do what they understand. So when I'm sharing with you something, I'm going to tell you not what to do, but why I do it. I pre-profile because it builds relationship equity that will present itself at the party. Pre-profiling is building relational equity. And so asking women questions beforehand about their skin, about what they might want to learn, about what they might be interested in, builds a little relational rapport. Do I want to know what they're interested in and about their skin? Of course I do. But I really want to build relational equity. So then when they walk in the door, I greet them at the door. I don't expect the hostess to do that. In fact, when the doorbell would ring, I would say, I'll get it. And I went to the door and I was highly relational. I said, hi, I'm Brittany. Tell me your name. Oh my gosh, Jerry Lynn, it's so nice to meet you. We spoke on the phone. It was so great. Thank you for squeezing me in after your daughter's ballet lesson and before her soccer practice. And that said, I remember you. We had a phone conversation. So she knows that I wasn't just calling people to call people. I remembered her. I said something about that conversation that said, I remember you. And I met her at the door. Okay. So then once the women were there, I had taken another consultant with me. Mary Kay always said, take someone with you. Mary Kay said, you work and they watch and learn. And so I took one of my sharp consultants who is working to be a DIQ, and she will be, and she helped me with doing satin hands. And I said, this is my assistant tonight, Lauren. She's one of our very sharp consultants. She also happens to be a doctor of physical therapy, and she's going to treat you to a pampering hand treatment. Why did I do that? 1, I wanted them to see that I'm not the only consultant in the world, that here's another one. So if they didn't relate necessarily to me, they might relate to Lauren. Secondly, I specifically mentioned what Lauren does for a living because I wanted them to go, oh, women come from all different walks of life. You might not expect a doctor to be a consultant also, but she is. And I wanted them to be visualizing if I was doing something like this, that's who would help me, would be another consultant. So then the satin hands. You might think, oh, we want them to try that product. It's a bestseller. Sure. But the real reason I want them to try satin hands walking right in the door is because immediately they're going to go, wow, that was really nice. And you and I know that not everybody owns satin hands, but everybody's impressed with it. And so right away, walking in the door, they're trying something on that they're going to rave about. That's the psychology there. And then I can cue them, you know, I'm going to have you fill out a little beauty profile. I have a stack of them in on the coffee table. And if you loved that, just make a little note on the back of the card. That was called fragrance-free satin hands. Fragrance, you can just put FF satin hands. Just make a note of that on the back of the card. When you give people a cue, they take it. And they were literally sitting down with their card and I could see them writing. And I knew what they were writing because I had planted that seed. Psychology. Okay. So as I then walk them into the room where everyone is, don't assume they know everyone. Oh my gosh, you guys, I learned this early in my business. I always thought, well, if I'm in a hostess's home and she's invited these people, they all know each other. And I will never forget one time at my studio, we had a Mary Kay studio for about 15 years. And for years, we did events on Tuesday night and Saturday morning, years and years. And probably 3-4 years into my studio, there were two women seated next to each other and they had walked in the door at the same time. So I falsely assumed that they came together. And so they sat there through the whole party. And at the end of the party, one of them turns to the other and said, I can't make this up, "It was so nice to meet you. We should grab coffee sometime." And the other one said, "I loved talking to you. I would love that." And they exchanged numbers. And I said to the consultant who had been taking care of them, "Aren't those your guests?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I go, "They acted like they didn't know each other." And she goes, "Well, I invited each of them, but they don't know each other. They were each separate invites and they just happened to walk in at the same time." Huh. Blew my mind. So just because you're going to a hostess's home doesn't mean all the women know each other. So when I was finishing the Satin Hands, or Lauren was, and we'd take them to the couch, we would say, "Jordan, have you met Jerry Lynn?" And you guys, then if they went, "I've known Jerry Lynn for years, of course." Nothing wrong with that. But if I assume they know each other and I don't introduce them, then it's awkward. Have you ever walked into a party and you feel like everyone knows each other but you? Yeah. Thank you for that. And so I would do that with every single person and it bore itself out, you guys. Some of them were like, "Oh no, I've heard Jeannie mention you. It's nice to meet you." And some of them were friends from her daughter's school. Their daughters had a connection. And some of them were people from the neighborhood and some were other people. One was her daughter's law school friend. And so she didn't know anybody there. So that is why I don't assume that they know everyone. So that's a little icebreaker. Another icebreaker as you're doing the Satin Hands is I'll say, "How do you know Jeannie?" Because I want to hear a story, you guys. I like to say stories are sticky. I used to be a broadcast journalist and for a living, I told stories. And when you go to seminar or leadership or career conference or any Stacey James event and someone shares a story like on the Saturday Surge or anything, that's what sticks. And you retell it. We don't always get it right when we retell it, but we retell the stories. They're sticky. And so people were telling me their stories of how they met Jeannie. And it was such a great little icebreaker. Okay, so then I always start all my parties with who we are and what we believe. So let me fast forward. On Friday of last week, I had a party at my dining room table. Now, if you are an extrovert who's also introverted like me, people don't believe I'm a closet introvert, but I swear that I am. If there was a sweatshirt that said, "Sorry, I was late, I didn't want to come," that was me. And on the back, if it said, "But I'm really glad I didn't, I had the best time," that's also me. My husband is like, "Let's go do something social." And I'm like, "Oh, must we? Could we just stay home?" But then I'm always glad I went, but I never want to go. So a little tip about Brittany. So on Friday, I had people at my dining room table. So already, just from what I shared, that would not be my preference. But we closed our studio during COVID and we went back to getting into people's homes and being highly relational. And when you are in someone's home, you learn a lot more about them than if they come to your studio. So Friday, people were at my home. Now, Monday night, 8 guests, 1 left early, 7 people ordered, and I sold over 1,300. Friday, in my home, 4 guests, they all ordered, and there were 2 outside orders from people who couldn't come. 7 orders Monday, over 1,300 in sales. Pop-up party. Few things tried on the back of the hand, nothing on the face. Friday, traditional skincare class, Brittany's comfort zone, and 4 people around the table, and the sales were, wait for it, over 1,300. And that was 4 people in person and 2 outside orders. So 7 orders on Monday, 6 orders on Friday, both parties over 1,300. Here's what I want you to hear. It all works. And you know why? Because I believed it would. Now, I knew that the traditional skincare class worked, and you do too. But the pop-up party worked. But I want you to know that no matter what kind of party I'm doing, I always talk about who we are as a company and what we believe. And the psychology there is, and I say it to them, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we believe, because I don't think you can try or possibly buy product from a company you know nothing about. What I just did there, friends, is I planted that seed where they're going, I buy things all the time, and I probably should be asking more questions about what that company believes. And so I say, we're an American company with an American product. We've been around for 60 years, and we were founded by a woman for the sake of women. In fact, if you've ever watched Shark Tank and someone has a product and they want to build a company around it, we did it the opposite way. Mary Kay built a company and found a product to wrap in the middle, because we weren't trying to sell a product. We were trying to create an opportunity. And today, women in 39 countries around the world have an opportunity to work from home, to earn money to support their families, to make this a hobby or a side hustle or a part-time or a full-time thing because of Mary Kay's vision 60 years ago. And by the way, she was a real woman, not a fictional character like Chef Boyardee. Mary Kay was a real person. And in case you didn't know that, her family still owns the company today. We're debt-free. We're kind to the environment. We don't test on animals. And we have a charitable foundation that has given more than $92 million to support two key causes: the fight against domestic violence and the fight against cancers that affect women. And I bet if we raised our hands, all of us here know someone who's been affected by one or the other or both. And so that's who we are. And that's what we believe. And now I can tell you about the product. Pause. What I just did in that short little segment makes people go, wow. It causes them to think a new thought about where they're spending their money and what those companies may or may not believe and how little or how much they know. And instantly they go, that's impressive about our company. And I am so stinking proud to represent this brand. When I walk on an airplane with my Mary Kay suit on and the flight attendants go, you're dressed up today, I say, well, this is my company director suit. I'm with Mary Kay. And frequently people will say, oh, I've heard a lot of good things about that company. And frequently I'm the only one on the airplane in a skirt, even in the middle of summer, wearing hosiery, wearing professional shoes, and looking put together. And you guys, I'm proud, because that's what Mary Kay would want us to do. And so I will tell you, and this is just me, no matter what changes or shifts in this company, our integrity and our image will not in my book. And I know Tammy believes that too, because Tammy is always the most professionally dressed woman in any room. If you looked around and had to guess who the national or the top director was, people would point to Tammy Nixon, because that is who she is. And I am impressed with what I see on this Zoom tonight, because you are professionally dressed and you are put together. I would be proud to introduce any of you as my colleague. I would be proud to introduce any of you as my sister sales director. So own that and be proud of that. So then I share at every party my I story and my goal. You guys, sometimes we remember to tell our I story and we forget to share our goal. And it's usually for one of two reasons. We don't know what our goal is, or we don't think people would care. So I'm going to go back 21 years and tell you that when I was a brand new consultant, my senior director, now senior, my director then, said to me, Brittany, I want you to share with everyone, my director has challenged me to see 30 faces in 30 days and get their honest opinion of how our product compares to what you're currently using. And 21 years later, I still say that. And 21 years later, I'm still blown away that all those years ago, people would say, hey, how are you coming with that thing? My first month in business, and I'd go, what thing? You know, that thing, like there was something about 30 something, and I'd go, 30 faces in 30 days? And they'd go, yeah, how is that coming? And I honestly thought, I can't believe they remember or care. But let me ask you, when was the last time in casual conversation, any of your friends said, here's my goal this month. This is what I'm working on. Unless they're a Mary Kay. Now, unless someone's training for a marathon, raising money for something, or trying to lose weight, do you hear people going around going, hey, let me tell you about my March goal? We don't. And so it catches people's attention because they're impressed, first of all, but they really do care. So if you're sharing your I story, but not your current goal, then I want to tell you this, don't forget the goal. And it needs to be a short-term and a long-term goal. If I say, and my goal, and I did say this at my party, is to be a national sales director, the top of the top, the cream of the crop, the women with a platform and influence to change women's lives from a greater place than here in our community alone. That is my long-term goal. My short-term goal is to be a $500,000 sales director this year, and with my unit, sell a $500,000 in product by June 30th. So I shared both, you guys. And people went, wow. And then I said, so thank you, because you being here tonight is getting me one step closer. Psychology. If you share the goal, but you don't connect people to it, then it's only about you. And that's why we don't share, because we think it's about us. I will tell you, for years, when my goal in different years has been the top director trip or this or that, you know, usually with the trip and Cadillac, some directors feel like, oh, but that's about me. No, it's not. No, it's not. Let me tell you, the first thing people love to ask when they hear you're in Mary Kay is, oh, do you have one of those pink Cadillacs? And there's nothing more fun than going, I do. It's right outside. Do you want to go for a ride? And they go, oh. And you may not have one, but you can go, my director has one. It is gorgeous. You should come see it sometime. And they go, oh, because they may not think it's real. So share your goal, but connect them to it. So share it and then say, and when you put your hand over your heart, you guys, it just happens automatically for me. But when you say, so sincerely, thank you for being here tonight, ladies, because it may not seem big to you, but it's big to me that you took a little of your time to come here because Jeannie invited you. And whether you take product home or not, everyone here is getting me one step closer to my goal tonight, because the more people I share the product with, the closer that goal is to reality. So thank you. And I make eye contact and I let it sit for a second. I don't go, so thank you for that. Anyway, let it sit, let it breathe. And they were like, okay. So you should always be working on something. If you're not sure about a great goal, like it doesn't have to be Queen's Court of Sales. I mean, that's a great goal, but you should be working on something. So talk to Tammy. She's great at this. And if you're not sure what a great one is, or role play it with her, how you're describing it. Don't just say, and I'm going to be in the Queen's Court of Sales this year. You guys, that's inside baseball. They have no idea what that means. So you could say, I'm working to be recognized on stage at our company's annual awards ceremony as one of the top sellers in Mary Kay. That's something people get. Award ceremony. People know what an award ceremony is. On stage, people have seen things where people are on stage. Maybe they've been on stage for something. Top sellers. Don't use inside baseball language, you guys. We forget that because we're inside. We have to use language that other people get. Does that make sense? Does that help you? Okay. So let's talk about then at the end of the party, on the way out the door. Before they go out the door, you must have an individual consultation, and never, 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 ever, ever call it a close. We know that we want to close the guests, but I found that if I called it a close, even when I was training my unit, sometimes I would accidentally call it that in front of a guest. Do you want to help close? So, people don't want to be closed. Doors get closed. Boxes get closed. People don't get closed, okay? People don't want to be closed. They want to be consulted with. So I have taken the word close out of my lingo so that I don't have to think about who am I with, which do I call it, a close or an individual consultation? It's the individual consultation. And hear me, the psychology is not to find out what she wants to buy. The individual consultation is where we learn what she loved, where we learn what she'd like to learn next time, where we learn when she'd like to have that follow-up, when we learn what products she saw that were her favorites or her favorite sets, and what questions she has about our business opportunity. Did you hear that? We are learning what she wants. We are learning what she wants. And the reason sometimes consultants don't hold individual consultations is one of three things. One, you're sitting at the party, at the table, as I was Friday, in my dining room with people in my house, as my dog laid his head in the lap of many of them, and my cat almost barfed next to me. And I was like, introvert Brittany, calm down. It's going to be fine. Other people have pets. They understand these things. All right. I sat around, and this is reason number one, we don't do the individual consultation, is one of the women said, well, I know exactly what I want. I'll take, and she just starts in. And so sometimes you're excited. You go, oh, okay. And you just start going. No, grasshopper. We're not going to do that, because when we do that, it says to the other women, they're going to have to model and follow what that person is doing. And so here's how you stop that. You go, Well, it sounds like you want to come with me first. I'm going to, as I shared with you at the beginning, ladies, meet with each of you individually so that you can ask me any questions that you might not want to ask in front of the group. And I can honor you with a little bit of one-on-one time. So you're ready, Angela, I can tell. Let's just step right over here. And I literally walked from my dining room across to my sunroom. It was maybe 8 yards away, but then I could position myself where she was facing away from all of her friends and facing me, and I could listen to her. Look at my body language. It's not this, like an order taker at a restaurant. It's this. I'm sitting with her and I'm saying, let's take a look at how your beauty profile turned out. And then we'll take a look at your customer survey. Now, I have a little 6-question survey. I'm not going to show it to you because Tammy has one, I'm sure, that's way better that she's taught you to use, and I want to honor that. But you need something, in my humble opinion, that quantifies. It's an integrity thing that if you ask someone to come and try our products, as my director taught me 21 years ago, to give their honest opinion of how our products compare to what they're currently using, then there ought to be something to quantify that. So I have a little 6-question survey they fill out at the end. So we walk over and we do that. And you guys, this is what I've learned, psychology. There might be someone there who's taking medication that she doesn't want her friends to know about. Maybe she's on antidepressants. Maybe she's on a new heart medication. Maybe she just changed birth control. Who knows? But that's nobody's business but hers. And so allowing her to have that private conversation allows her to ask me questions she might not ask in front of the group. And I'm not kidding. All the time I hear, I just started taking a new medication for fill in the blank. Should I be concerned about how that will interact with any skincare? And if you don't know, you say, gosh, that's a great question. You know, I'm going to check with my sales director and I will get back to you tomorrow. I promise I will. And when you do, they'll be shocked. I've had people say, I didn't think you'd really call me back. I said, well, I said I would. And they're like, I know, but people say that all the time. Integrity. Okay. The other thing is there are going to be women who spend a lot, and there might be women who spend very little or nothing. And it's nobody's business, respectfully, what anybody's budget is. I don't care if they're BFFs or sisters, which some of them were. 2 of them at this party were. One of the sisters had just been to a med spa and dropped $800 on a bunch of products. And she wanted all of our stuff and said, I like this even better, but I just spent $800 Wednesday. I need to use that up. And then I'm going to be calling you. And so, you know, I don't know what the budget of the other women might be, but I knew that one of them worked at a gas station. And this woman's spending $800 at a med spa on a Wednesday in the middle of the day. So, you know, don't assume things about your audience. And so that's the other psychology of why you do individual consultation. Second reason you don't do it is you don't know how to do it. And that's an easy fix. Practice. Role play with Tammy. Role play with each other. And then the third reason we don't do the individual consultation is the party gets away from us. And what I mean by that is somebody gets up and goes to the bathroom, or, you know, one lady goes, I have to go, or we just don't know what to do. Again, talk to your director about how to handle that. But in your mind, you need to think, I'm doing an individual consultation with everyone. And so guess what? The most important thing is backing up at the beginning of the party, you say what's going to happen. Don't you love it? I do. When my pastor goes, today we're going to talk about 3 key points, and then I can follow along mentally with where he is in the sermon. But if people don't know what to expect, then when you say at the end, well, I'd love to meet with you for just a minute, they're thinking, well, what is that? You're going to try to sell me something now, aren't you? Listen to me. We are not selling. We're allowing them to buy. And angels sang. We are not selling them. And if you're worried about being pushy, I'm going to share with you what my director always said to me. The only people who aren't afraid to be pushy are pushy people. And if you're not a pushy person, you will not become one. Fear not. I promise it's true. You will not become a pushy person, because the fact that you're afraid of being pushy means you can never be. Okay. So we're going to do the individual consultation. And so I just say to them at the beginning, ladies, I want you to know that I'll answer questions you have at the table, but I promise I'm going to honor heart. See this? It did it automatically. I'm going to honor each of you with a little one-on-one time at the end. So if you have questions you may not want to ask in front of the group, or some advice on your skin, I will give you that time with me. So before you leave, we'll just take a minute or two. It won't take long, but I want to honor each of you with that time. Do you see how I looked around and I'm looking at how it's landing, and I'm doing this, and when you nod, they will nod. And now they're expecting it. So let's talk about to sum that up, the power of the individual consultation, it's highly relational, personal attention. She may not want others to know something about her skin or medication she's taking or her financial situation, or maybe she's interested in the opportunity and she doesn't want to tell her friends because they're going to be like, oh no, you don't have time to do that, Sally Ann. Sally Ann, you have 17 children and a busy executive position. You don't have time to, her friends, it's none of their business. Okay, so here's a powerful question, you guys. After you go through whatever closing sheet, whatever little survey Tammy has taught you, this is something I learned in coach school. And this goes along with that mentality of we are allowing her to buy. We're not selling her, we're allowing her to buy. So after she has told you what she wants, and I'm sitting very casually with her and I'm listening and I'm making notes and I go, okay, and what else? And I'm listening and she will tell me what else. And if she is done buying, she will say, I think that's it. And then you will say, I think that's a great place to start. Affirm her. She made a decision. So another question that I ask at the end of that, and what else? And what else? So backing up a little bit, before that, when I do my little 6-question survey, mine is positioned so I can turn it into a script. The first question is, did you have a great time? The second question is, what do you want to learn at your follow-up? When we get together for that, do you want to do day or evening, weekday or weekend? And they just circle it. And then it asks what their favorite sets were. And if they were to make a purchase, would they do debit card, credit card, blah, blah, blah. And so when I go through that with them, I just say 3 words. I see that. I see that you had a good time. You get a smiley face for that, Sally Ann. And I literally draw a little smiley face on there and she laughs and I laugh. And then I say, and I see that when we get together for your follow-up, you want to learn how to do a smoky eye. That'll be fun. Let's do that. And I see that. Do you see my body language right now? We're girlfriends. Just like if I said, Tammy, look at this picture I took on my phone. And we'd both go like this. I wouldn't go, Tammy, look at this picture. I'd go, look. That's the physicality you want when you're doing an individual consultation. It puts people at ease, you guys. And it's not, I'm on one side and you're on another. It's this. And I see that if all the sets on the table tonight magically showed up in your bathroom tomorrow, you'd be most excited about the repair set, my favorite, and the multi-masking set. Did you love what that charcoal did? I know, it's crazy. And the satin set. Okay. And then here's the only other question that I teach consultants. So is that what you've decided to take home today, or did you have something else in mind? Watch. So is that what you've decided to take home today, or did you have something else in mind? I'm shrugging, I'm nodding, I'm smiling. I'm waiting for her to tell me what she wants to buy. I'm not selling. She's telling me what she wants to buy. But this is what sometimes consultants do. And please hear my heart. It's only because you get nervous. And so when you get nervous at the end, because this is the moment of truth, we like to joke, you can mess the whole thing up, but as long as you stick to the landing, right? It's like the vault. Some of us are old enough to remember Mary Lou Retton in the Olympics that year, where she needed to get a 10 on not one, but both vaults, and she stuck the landing. The individual consultation is your vault landing. And this is what you do. So I mean, if you'd like to get those things, you could, but you don't have to. But if you want to, you can. But I have them with me. But I don't want you to feel any pressure. You don't have to take anything home, because you can always call me later, or you can call me tomorrow, or you could go to my website. I have a website. We have an app. You could go to my app and you can shop there if you want to. But so just, whatever you think is fine. I'm so glad you could come tonight, and your skin looks amazing. And yay, you guys, don't get nervous. Here's the deal. You're going to get the result you're going to get. So you might as well fake confidence, but you won't have to fake it if you just ask the question. Right? Think about how simple that is. So is that what you've decided to take home today, or did you have something else in mind? And you'll get one of 2 answers. You cannot fall over shocked if you get the first one. The first one is, yeah, I think so. Don't go, really? You just go, sounds great. I think that's a great place to start. And you write it down, and then you say those 2 magic words. What else? And if she's done buying, she'll go, I think that's it. You go, okay. But you'd be amazed how many times they go, oh, but I did want that CC cream. Can I add just the CC cream on, not the whole set, but just absolutely, sure. What else? And then she'll tell you when she's done. Okay, the other answer you might get when you ask, so is that what you've decided to take home today, or did you have something else in mind? And I nod and I tilt my head. The other answer might be, I'd like to, but I think today I'm going to start with blah, blah. And you go, you know what? I think that's a great place to start. You write that down. You go, what else? Those are the only two answers you're going to get, you guys. Very rarely you might have someone say, well, I can't get anything today. And if they do, what I do is say, well, no worries. Let's write up what you want as a pre-order. You tell me the day you want me to deliver it, and we can charge you then. Sound good? And if it doesn't sound good, she'll tell you it doesn't sound good. But if you say, tell you what, because I like to joke that people are always right around the corner from payday. And so that's why I give them that option. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up with this. Oh, don't give them a lookbook at the table. I can't even tell you how many times I have said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then someone will go, do you have a catalog? And I'll go, sure. And then they all want catalogs. And then they will sit there for 50 minutes looking at 50 pages and buying things they didn't even try at the skincare class. Like, why are you buying a lip gloss and a blush? I don't understand. Okay. So what I started doing years ago, and it works like a charm, is I put a lookbook in a little bag, and wait for it, I tie it closed with tools so they can't open it and find the lookbook. And I go, well, I have a little goodie bag to send you home with. So even if they don't buy, they're going back to the table with a beautiful little bag tied with tulle. And hear my heart on this. This is really honoring of people. When I used to have my studio, this little woman who lived across the street said to me one time, hey, Mary Kay lady. And I said, yes. And she said, y'all must sell a lot of product over there. And I said, well, thank you. We certainly do. What makes you say that? And she said, because everybody I see comes out with a bag. Ooh, psychology. When they go back to the table with a bag, it is nobody's business at that table what they bought or spent. Amen. But if you've ever been shopping with a girlfriend at the mall and she's got 4 shopping bags and you've got your purse because you broke. You're not on spring break. You're on spring broke. Okay. And that is a terrible feeling. So I think it's honoring of every woman to leave with a bag. No one knows what's in it but you. But I tie it closed with tulle. Okay. So that really has always stuck with me. And then eye contact. If someone isn't buying, if they are buying, whatever, when they are finished, you lean in and you go, I really want to thank you for coming tonight. I genuinely enjoyed getting to spend a little time with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again. And I know you get nervous, you guys, but this is what we do. We go, well, thanks for coming. It was really great to have you here. We get nervous and we don't look at them. I'm going to say this, and I'm a churchgoer, y'all, so I'm going to preach for a second. You might be the only person to look into their eyes and appreciate them that week. And so if you are a hugger, and I'm an introvert, but I'm a hugger, I will come in for that hug. If you feel it from her, there's nothing wrong with giving her a hug. I had a consultant here who's new, and she came for a follow-up with one of her clients on Saturday for a makeover. And I didn't hug her guest the first time I met her, but I hugged her Saturday because I knew her. I'd seen her before. I was like, Claudia, it's so good to see you again. And I hugged her, and I swear it set the tone for that whole appointment, you guys. And the first appointment, she brought a friend who was a little like this, but she didn't bring that friend the second time. She was a different woman. So be you. Don't like, oh, they feel a little standoffish. Just be you. Hug if you're a hugger. And finally, make the hostess feel like $1 million. Oh, friends. I lingered a little longer at the end to thank the hostess. And I said, Jeannie, I can't thank you enough for sharing your home and your friends with me. Not just to help me with my goal, but just for saying yes. I genuinely appreciate you. Thank you. And she was like, this is what people do. When you touch their heart, they touch their heart. Did you hear that? When you touch their heart, they touch their heart. And so then I do 2 more things after I leave. Personal, handwritten, not a text, not an email, a personal on a piece of stationery. Stationery is paper that you write on and put a stamp on and put in the mailbox. And it goes to the person's house by way of someone else. I'm joking, but personal handwritten thank you note. You know what that is. And then do what I call the wow delivery. Now, I said to the ladies that night, ladies, there's no way for me to have guessed what all of you would want tonight. but I have all this product in stock. So I'm going to deliver it to you tomorrow. And they were like, you will? And I said, yes, I will. And okay, this is just a Brittany thing, but I can't stand plastic and I don't like our Mary Kay shopping bags. Sorry, Mary Kay. And so I go to Target and I get beautiful craft paper bags and I put tissue paper in there, you know, like Stacey James all zhuzhes it up. You know how when you get a present from Stacey, you're like, it could be a roll of toilet paper. You don't care. It looks gorgeous. It's never TP, by the way, but it could be, and you'd be excited. And so I do the wow delivery, and I learned that from NSD Emeritus Cheryl Steinman, the wow delivery. So that hostess's gift looked better than all the others. It was in a beautiful bag, extra tissue, handwritten note in there. I mean, it looked wow. And I delivered it to her house, and she was, side note, cleaning her bathroom, and she had her hair back in a headband and had a sports bra on. And at first no one answered the door. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have to leave it on the porch. And then she opened the door. She's like, oh, thank goodness it's just you. I was cleaning my bathroom in my sports bra. Come on in. And so I gave it to her and she was so excited. And you guys, all of this helps honor Tammy. I know that you all would jump in front of a bus for your director because she would jump in front of a bus for you. She loves you. She's so proud of you. She talks about you. She wants you to be part of things. She reminds you about the Saturday surge and the opportunities, the Tip Tuesday. Tammy, we think so much alike. I'm like, that was on my agenda for my meeting tonight. I said that. I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm on the heels of Tammy. I'm thinking like Tammy. You guys, if you could do one thing for her right now in this season of her life, I want you to work. Because one day, if you choose, you'll be a director. And people work for you when they've seen you work for them. And I know this woman has poured guts and heart and soul into you for years. Some of you less time if you're newer, but that's Tammy. And you should also do it for yourself and your family. But there are seasons of your business where it's okay to do it for someone else. I had a consultant earn a car once, and she said, Brittany, she drove it in my driveway, Mary Kay car, shiny red. She goes, I never could have done it for me. I did it for you. And I thought, oh no, I don't want her to do it for me. I want her to do it for her. But here's what I've come to mature and realize in my leadership is it really helped her way more than it helped me. Did it help me that year? We were going for a big goal. Of course it did, but it really helped her. So if you need to tell yourself you're doing it for someone else, we're okay with that. But I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, do it for Tammy and do it for our company. If you believe this is the best company on earth, and I have devoted 21 years of my life, we could be doing a lot of things, me and Tammy. We're talented women. People call us all the time, headhunters. I'm sure Tammy, like just like me, they find us and I don't know how. And this is where I am. This is where God has me, and he has called me here for a reason and not a season. Amen. And so I want you to know that everything I taught you tonight ties into the 60th anniversary year. It ties into everything you'll hear on the virtual event this Friday. It ties into everything you'll be celebrated for at seminar. It ties into the makeover contest the company is launching April 3rd. It ties into the most important things game. It ties into our Share the Dream Global Challenge of 600,000 new consultants globally by the 60th. And so if you want to honor your director, work. Have a party, and then have another one, and then have another one. And if you want, consider giving a portion of your profits to a charity that Tammy's passionate about, or in Tammy's honor, or in Lindsay's memory to the Mary Kay Foundation. But you guys, you are so blessed to have an incredible director, an incredible director. And so I can't think of a better gift. And it's hard, isn't it? When people are going through hard times, it's hard to know what to do and what to say. My father was a funeral director, and he always told me, don't say, just do. Just do. And you have an incredible opportunity to do for Tammy right now. And so Tammy, this was something so small that I could do for you tonight, but I love you and I respect the heck out of you. And I will always be here for you and your unit. So thank you for this.